Saints have wrapped up practice number 14, the final practice before preseason game number 1 in Houston. They practice outside. We are inside the Saints facility. Ricardo, Lecomte, Doug Mouton. Highlights of practice 14. What did you think?
Yeah, I think it was that spirited 7-on-7 that we saw in the back of the end zone near Airline Drive that we watched. And it started with the defense winning a few plays. We saw C.J. Gardner-Johnson break up the very first pass, and Bradley Roby intercepted Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton did eventually settle in and threw a couple of touchdown passes in that drill. But it was something you wanted to see just before that before this final practice, before the preseason game, just the competitive drill between the offense and the defense, because we're likely not going to see as many of those ones play on Saturday.
Right, correct. And the two names that I wrote down were the same two guys you mentioned. So I thought C.J. Gardner-Johnson was terrific. I think he strung together several really good practices. And I thought Bradley Roby was good. I think he's had a really good camp. And we've talked a lot about Paulson and Debo, but Bradley Roby's been really good too. And that may have become, we expected left tackle, that may have become almost the surprise, really good battle at training camp. And it's two guys both at the top of their game. Now in preseason game 1, we talked to Trevor Penning today, and Penning may be the guy to watch almost more so than anybody else, right?
Yeah, it's only because not just the national attention he's gotten for his post-play scuffles that he's been in, but you could see that he's not overwhelmed by the fact that he's making a step up from the FCS level to the NFL. He does play with a certain aggression that at times are not really sits well with veterans when he's playing in practices, but you need that kind of aggression, especially if you're playing at a very violent spot in football on the offensive line, protecting the blind side of the quarterback. And he had a really great quote where he was like, if I'm not making the guy across from me mad, then I'm not doing my job.
Right.
And football is not a glamorous good, like it's a mean kind of sport, and he kind of embodies that attitude, and he's unapologetic about it.
Right.
Like he wants to be aggressive out there, and certainly he's been that way. And I think this competition between him and James Hurst at the left tackle spot has closed, and it's, I think, part of it just because Penning is playing hard, and that's what they wanted to see.
Yeah, look, the fights have gotten the attention, but I think he has also done all of the work. You hear Cam Jordan raved about him the other day, and to me that was the biggest, because Cam Jordan hates talking nicely about offensive guys. I think Penning has made it a real competition, and at this point I would not be surprised if he won the job, but he's a guy to watch this game and in Green Bay. And to me the biggest position to watch is running back, because you've got three guys who have all done good things in camp, and you're talking about Divine Ozigbo, Abram Smith, and Tony Jones going for one spot, and that spot may get carries this year. And this is the first chance to actually break tackles.
Yes.
They don't tackle during practice, and this is the first chance for one of the. Who do you like of those three right now?
See, I've always been an Abram Smith fan, and I think that's the biggest upside you've got. You've got a rookie who could do a little bit of both. But look, you've got Tony Jones, who has experience. He has played last year in this. He's a second-year guy. You got Divine Ozigbo, who has been around in camp. He's very familiar with this Saints offense. But it's almost like if he's even, you might want to go with a younger guy. And I think Abram Smith has the biggest upside. Now, we'll see what they look like when they play in an actual game, when they're actually tackling, when they have to be physical, when they have to do certain things. But right now, I would put my money on Abram Smith and somebody that could go, especially if this is an even competition, I would go with Abram to win it.
I would agree. And I think he will be the guy, but we'll start finding out. Now, Dennis Allen didn't want to talk about rotations for the first preseason game, because he says he wants to talk to his team first and tell them what they've decided, although those decisions have been made. Preseason game Saturday, work next week is in Green Bay. For Ricardo, Lecomte, I'm Doug Mouton. That's a look at the final practice before the preseason opener.